Got your back against the wall, no, you know you never had a chance. Should've known better, now you better make other plans. There's no going back, gotta let you know in advance. This is Game Squad.
Hey, how's it going, YouTube? This is Joe Gridge from the TeamAPS Worldwide YouTube channel, and today I'm coming at you with a quick video on my picks for the top 10 budget rogue decks for the November 9th, 2015 format. Let's get into it really quick. Coming at number 10, I have Mermails. Now, Mermails is an easy rank 4/7 spam deck. It can produce a lot of great monsters in the deck, as well as synchros. Has access to Abyssgiles. Abyssgiles as a card is amazing because you can attach a card to negate all monsters on the field with lower attack than his, and also while he's on the field material, you have monsters level 5 or higher cannot attack. So that's great for stuff like Cosmos and things like that, or Infernoids or anything along the lines of that. Like, you can't really do anything, so it hurts a lot of those decks. You know, the power play beatdown decks, they can't really do much because the monsters are too big to swing. There's a lack of effect negation in the game right now because of stuff like Majespecters not being able to be targeted and things like that. People aren't playing Veiler, they're not playing Phoenix Chain, they're not playing Breakthrough Skill and things like that. So those cards not really being in decks nowadays is great for this deck because now the deck can go off pretty heavy without worrying about their effects being stopped. It has the ability to be to OTK your opponent. It has access to instant fusion, Northern. A lot of decks do now. That card is really floating. The combo is really floating around heavy these days. It also has access to Atlantean Marksman and Heavy Infantry. Now those cards are great. Atlantean Marksman can get rid of back row. You can get rid of the Majespecter kind of trap, so they can negate your summons. You can use Heavy Infantry to get rid of the face of pendulums. So it's just stuff like that. It's easy to clear the board, and it makes for better plays. So this deck can hold its own against that kind of deck. Coming at number 9, I have Yosenju's. Now, Yosenju's is a quick spam deck. It can easily produce a lot of board presence and OTK potential. It's an OTK where you can put all the monsters on the board, you know, simultaneously summoning all of them and then making double cowboy for game. So it is an OTK option and OTK potential. It can main deck mass destruction cards. Since the monsters all bounce back to their hand during the end phase, you know, cards like Torrential Tribute and cards like Dark Hole don't affect you or your field, but you can easily clear the board and get rid of their cards without hurting yourself. You know, Regeki, Mirror Force, Torrential, Dark Hole, everything along those lines. It can also main deck Floodgates. It can play Lose One Turns, Macrocosmos, D-Fissures, Zoldrain. All those cards can be played in the deck because it doesn't hurt the deck. It also has access to Lightning Chidori. Lightning Chidori is a card that's just amazing. Being able to spin stuff back to your opponent's deck is just amazing in itself. And it's easy and free. Coming in at number 8, I have Yugioh. Yugioh is also an easy rank 4 spam deck. Has access to Instant Fusion, Northern as well. A lot of OTK potential. Yugioh now being back at 3 has made this deck better. Definitely better. And people, you know, never really lost hope in the decks. They're going to want to keep playing this deck once again. It also plays a heavy amount of back row. So, like stuff like Storm and Mirror Force and, Time Space Trap Hole and things like that are really effective in the game right now. So this deck plays a large amount of back row and trap stun and stuff like that to OTK. And again, there's a lack of effect negation in the game, like I said before. So their effects will go off way more easier than they used to. At number 7, I have Blackwings. Now, Blackwings is a rank 4 spam deck. It can make rank 4 spams. It can synchro spam. It can easily OTK you. Delta Crow is a card. Delta Crow to knock off decks that have heavy back rows just because no one plays Starlight Road or anything like that. No one's playing Wiretap. So just get your opponent, make them go minus, destroy all their cards. Black Sonic, it's Mirror Force / D Prison, except it banishes all the cards from play. Now, people will say, oh, that's not always good for Cosmos. Okay, it's not always good for Cosmos because they can recycle it back with Cosmo Town, but to get rid of all of them at once simultaneously, it's like it really puts a damper on their plays and what they're trying to do with the game. You know, And against Pendulum based decks, it's just amazing to banish all the cards. They never get them back, and that's where you want them to be. You want them to be out the game. You don't want them to be in the extra deck, on top of the extra deck. And it also has access to Instant Fusion and Norden as well, which a lot of decks do right now. But it's a really fun competitive deck still. And if you wanted to say Icarus Attack is still a card, even though it's not good against Majespecters or Cosmos really, but it still is a good card against other rogue decks. Number 6 is Yang Zings. Now, Yang Zings is also a synchro spam deck. Also has access to rank 4s. I mean, yeah, synchro spam deck has access to anything Exceed based. Access to Instant Fusion and Norden to help you synchro further. They're floaters. They don't. It's hard to OTK this deck because they keep bringing monsters in and out the deck. So it's great that they always swarm in the field with cards, and they can also main deck Floodgates, Skill Drain, Vanity's Emptiness, Lose One Turn. Those cards all could play in the deck, and they don't affect you too much. You know what I'm saying? Because you can make your monsters not affected by traps. So that just is amazing in itself. It makes for very easy gameplay and very easy control of the game. And it has access to Yazi. Yazi itself is an amazing card because you can make a Yazi who's like, I think 31. Yeah, he's 31 attack and is unaffected by spells and traps. That in itself is great. You can't be destroyed, and its effect is it can't be targeted. So that's what makes this deck pretty amazing to me, and it has a lot of potential in the game, and it can easily OTK when given the right amount of thing, but it's kind of slow sometimes, so OTK is not always there. Number 5 is Fluffles. Now Fluffles is a newer deck, newer deck. It just got most of its new support. As it's an easy fusion spam deck, has access to Instant Fusion and Norden. It can OTK pretty easily. It has a +3 combo where you can loop your hand and draw and put 3 cards back in your hand while putting monsters cards back on the field. It's pretty easy. And it has access to Fright for Sheep. The Fright for Sheep is pretty amazing. That card, if it's it's like Armades because you can't respond with battle traps. So if you attack with it, Storm Mirror Force does nothing pretty much. And that's a big part of the game because everybody's playing Storm Mirror Force or any kind of Mirror Force card. Also, when it's destroyed, you can special summon it back to the field with 800 more attack. So it's like the battling boxer card. It's the same thing. It just loops, and then you get a 28 beater on the board that you can't respond to and damage. That's pretty amazing to me. And just that in itself is just a really quick, controllable deck, and I think it has so much potential to be one of the best rogue up-and-coming decks, sleeper decks, I would say, for the format. Number 4 deck is Heroes. Heroes is just Heroes. It didn't lose much. Even though Rhoda got hits 1, it still has E-Calls, so the deck didn't take a hit really hard. It just stood. It just didn't move. It stood the same. It's easy fusion spam. It has access to Dark Lord. Dark Lord in itself is an amazing card. Being able to banish everything while it's on the field, everything gets banished from play. Well, your opponent's stuff, not your stuff. Your opponent's stuff gets banished from play. And then if the opponent searches, every deck is searching right now. So any deck that searches, you'll randomly rip a card from your hand and banish it. That hurts a lot of decks. They don't want you to do that. They have to get rid of this card, and it's tech is pretty decent. 2400 is still decent. Also has access to Instant Fusion and Norden as well. It can OTK pretty easily when putting the right combo together. It has easy access to rank 4 spam and Acid, Mass Hero Acid to blow out big back row. I didn't put that there, but Mass Hero Acid to blow out really big back row, and that's a really big thing in the game right now. Back row destruction. Number 3 is Burning Abyss. Burning Abyss also has access to Dark Law, which is really amazing. It can easily play Dark Law, and you can remove your opponent's cards from play while maintaining your own board presence. It can main Skill Drain. Another thing that why the deck makes for really good. It can main Skill Drain, and that in itself is amazing. To stop your opponent from doing stuff. You play Acid Golem, you can pretty much beat over everybody. Or even Dante with Cheeks. It's the same thing. It has easy OTK potential. Yeah, Graph went to 1, Seer went to 2. People were like, the deck is dead completely. It's not dead. It's not dead completely. But but it did take a big hit considerably. So the deck is not as good as it was before, but it's still a good deck, a good contender when it comes to a sleeper rogue deck that can come up because people can play and they're not really preparing for it too much. People are not really playing Shadow Mirror too much, so that's really really a thing. And also it has access to Phoenix Wing, Wind Blast, and Regeki Break. Wing Blast and Regeki Break to pop the pendulums, so that slows that whole deck down completely. And I think people aren't really like noticing that lately. They're not really like focusing on, oh yeah, maybe Burning Abyss can really be a contender, but it could be a contender in the game. Number 2 is Madolche. Now, Madolche I picked to be number 2 because as of late, it's really come up in the ranks as a good rogue deck, really good rogue deck in the game. It has access to Brilliant Fusion, which brings out, I forgot the card's name. It brings out the Gem Knight Fusion, and it can spam even more monsters and more cards to the field. So it makes it even easier to OTK, much easier now. It always had a rank 3, rank 4 spam engine. Has access to instant fusion as well. Tiramisu is a card. It's just broken because it sends 2 cards back to the deck. So it really clears your board while attempting to OTK. You play like stuff like Trap Stun. And again, with a lack of effect negation in the game, with no Veilers, no breakthrough skills, no Phoenix Chains really being played during this current meta too much, this deck just gets away with a lot of shit that it shouldn't get away with. So I think this deck is a really great contender because it can really OTK and push for game really, really fast, considerably. And the number 1 deck, number 1 rogue budget deck would be Satellarknights. I know on my top 10 list before, I had put that Satellarknights was going to be one of the best decks, period. I still think it's one of the best decks. I just don't think it's really where it should be in Tier 1. I think it's an easy Tier 1.5 deck or the highest Tier 2 deck, but it's definitely the best rogue deck in the current format because it has access to Trevere. Trevere itself is just amazing. It bounces everything on the board back to the hand. It resets the game, basically, puts synchros. The synchros exceeds everything back in the game. It loops your Call of the Haunted and your Oasis Dragon Souls and Phoenix Chains if you play them back to your hand, so you can reuse them again, so you can quickly spam more. Alpha Nova is still a card. Oh, and it also plucks a card out your opponent's hand, so it gives you a great advantage. You can combo it with like Mind Crush, and it's just good for the deck. Alpha Nova is a card. Negates anything. Also negates that Majespecter trap, which is really amazing. You want to be able to stop that card, stop the summoning from being negated. Has access to instant fusion and Northern. Also, it has OTK potential. It can. People say, oh no, it doesn't really OTK, but it really does. If you can end phase, flip a Call of the Haunted, bring out 3 monsters, and then, on your turn, bring out more monsters, you can, flip Call of the Haunted, do that, make Trevere, bounce everything. Now on my turn, do the same thing, play Vega, Altair, Deneb, put more monsters on board, swing with everything, Cowboy. It's very easy. Play instant fusion. Like, you can do a lot in these games. Again, with a lack of effect negation in the game, it makes it very easy for this deck to spam because you're not really worried about the end phase breakthrough skills too much. So it makes it really easy for this deck to spam and just win the game completely. Also, like I said, access to Call of the Haunted and Oasis of Dragon Souls, and it can keep being used over and over and over again. So you're not really losing anything. Rhoda did hit the 1, so put a damper on the deck a little bit, but it still has Skybridge to help span the deck. You still maximize on the Utica highs to put them in the grave. So Call of the Haunted and Oasis are more better utilized in this format. Also has access to 86 Ronganoid. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the Rogue Champion. If you can make him with 5 monsters, you could win the game. I made him in the regional with 4 monsters, and my opponent couldn't summon monsters, so he couldn't win the game, and I just win. It was so easy to do it. It was just it's ridiculous. And also has access to Satellarknight Diamond for to play against Infernoid, so they can't reasoning you or monster gate you or anything. Well, yeah, they can't do any of that stuff. And if you happen to run into a dark deck like Burning Abyss or anything like that, you just can't. You can't send cards from deck to grave, so that's always a good thing. And it's against dark decks, if you happen to run into them, if possibly, which you probably won't, but yeah, it's a great thing. So that's pretty much it. That's my take on the top 10 budget rogue decks for the November 9th, 2015 format. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is it. Later, guys. Please stay connected with me by adding me on all my social networks on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just copy the link into your search bar and add. Thank you.